Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Primal Plate. Today we're gonna make bone broth. We are at the tail end of our gun season here in Iowa. Between all of us, we've had some success and piled up some bones, as you can see right here. And today, I'll show you how to make broth out of them. First off, when you're saving bones, you want to save bigger bones like the femur bones. Like this is a great one right in here. You can see it's a good thick bone. There's gonna be a lot of marrow in there. And honestly, that's what makes the broth, is the marrow. We have some scapulas in here, these shoulder blades. There's not a lot of marrow in there, but it was easy to save, so we saved it. The first step though is you can't just start with whole bones. You need to break them up into smaller pieces. Ideally, a bandsaw would be the best option. I don't have a bandsaw. You can use a hand hacksaw. Today, I'm gonna go ahead and use my Sawzall. I have a wood blade on here. I would recommend a metal blade for bone, but this is just what I had on hand. Having a helping hand is gonna make this a lot easier for you. You wanna go for like 3 to 5 inch chunks with these bones. Like I said, the goal is to expose the marrow. So yeah, Luke, if you want to hold that there, we'll just start. You can see there's still a lot of meat on these bones, and that's fine. That's just gonna add more flavor. As long as your meat isn't rotten, you wanna treat the bones just like you do all your meat. Try to avoid freezer burn, avoid it getting too warm, stuff like that.
Now, have you done this process before?
Yeah, I've done it quite a few times before, and it's a time-consuming process, but it's not hard. You don't have to be a culinary genius to do it. I kind of have a rough recipe that I follow, but it's really up to your own interpretation, whatever you want to put in your broth. So you can see right there, that's the marrow. That's what we're after. That's what makes the broth broth. Some marrow is white, some is red, but if it's red, it's still healthy. You can still use it. And if all else fails, just give it the sniff test. If it smells rotten, don't use it.
Now, how long do you bake these for?
So step one is just to roast the bones. So we're gonna put them on this tray. We're gonna drizzle a little bit of oil on them, olive oil. And then towards the end of that, we're gonna add in some veggies for more flavor. But for now, we're just gonna start roasting these. They're still kind of partially froze. So just getting them thawed is gonna be step one. So I've got the oven heated to 400 degrees, and we're just gonna set these in here for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just let them roast. Now you'll start to smell that. The smell will fill your house, and it's a pretty good smell, unlike, say, Euro mounting a deer skull, which stinks quite a bit. This actually, I feel smells pretty appetizing. Okay, so those bones have been roasting for about an hour now. We can hear them sizzling in there. So we're gonna chop up some veggies and add in with them, kind of roast those for about 10 minutes, and then add a little bit of tomato paste, and then we're gonna move the whole bit into a pot and start boiling it. So just got some celery, onion, and carrots. We're just gonna rough chop them. Bigger is probably better because we're gonna fish these out later.
So is this just flavor or?
Yep, just adds a little bit extra flavor.
It does smell good.
You can just see the juices running off of there. That's what's gonna be giving us our flavor. Just the point of roasting the veggies is just to kind of bring out some of their flavor too. They won't be cooked by any means. Those veggies have been roasting for about 10 minutes, so we're just gonna take some tomato paste. We're just gonna kind of smear that everywhere that we can. You can really smell those vegetables too, if they've been in there.
Now, what does the tomato paste do?
It just adds just another level of flavor to the broth, gives it a little bit more color.
So a little bit more appetizing. So would you say this is a pretty easy, just takes a while?
Oh yeah, I mean, all in all, it's very simple. It's time consuming. Yeah, just bones, veggies, a little bit of seasoning and thyme.
Yeah.
And water.
And winter is a perfect time to do it because, I mean, you can't really go outside.
Yeah. No, it's really a fun project on a snowy day and a cold day. All right, so these are finally ready to go into the pot. Shut the oven off. Take some tongs and just start transferring everything that's on this tray into the pot. And we're gonna try and get all those drippings in here too. All that golden stuff.
Liquid gold.
So we're gonna put just enough water in here to cover the bones. So we're gonna move this over to the stove. We're gonna bring it to a light boil and then take it down to a simmer. We don't want it a rolling boil. So for now, we're just getting it hot. We're gonna add in there some thyme. I would say probably a good tablespoon of thyme, some parsley flakes, probably again another tablespoon or so worth, a couple bay leaves. These bay leaves are broken up, you know. Otherwise I'd say like 2 or 3 whole leaves. And then we have some whole peppercorns. And we're gonna do about a tablespoon of those. You know, none of this has to be perfect.
And you could probably get a little creative with your...
Yeah, you could do anything you want. And then lastly, I'm gonna add about we'll say about a tablespoon of salt. Some recipes don't call for adding any salt, you know, for like a low sodium broth. Salt is a friend of mine, so just give that a quick stir. And we'll try to get that up to a simmer. All right. So this has been simmering on the stove for a couple hours, and now it's time to let it cool. So we're just gonna try and pour it through the sifter here, try to make as little bit of mess as possible.
It smells really good. Almost like a tomato sauce.
Yeah, let's empty that sifter. So now, again, just more waiting. This is super hot, so I'm gonna put it in the fridge to cool. Overnight, yesterday, I already started 1 batch of the stock. So you can see all this fat has floated to the top here. So first thing we're gonna do is get rid of that. So just take a slotted spoon and carefully dig this out and toss it. And you can see the little flecks in there of seasoning and such.
Now, do you get the seasoning out?
Some people like a super clear stock, just I think for aesthetic reasons. I feel like a cloudy stock is gonna have more flavor, more of the good stuff you want. So you could filter this through some cheesecloth. I'm not gonna do that because I like a cloudier stock because I feel like that's gonna have more of the flavor and more of any good bits that you want.
Okay.
But some people would probably be not too happy with my stock because I leave it cloudy. So I'm going to can my stock in a pressure canner. You cannot water bath can stock like you could salsa or pickles or something. It's not acidic enough, so you have to use a pressure canner. You can also buy online or wherever little like to-go soup containers, and they go in your freezer really great and you can freeze your stock. My freezer is always full anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and can it so I can leave it out in the shelf. These jars have been sanitized. That's super important when you're canning. You want sanitized jars. So we're gonna pour this through a sifter and a funnel to catch any big chunks that might have made it through, any little bits of fat. So still probably gonna make a little mess, but you can only do what you can.
So just, you said about an inch?
So you want to leave about an inch of head space.
I can see it's catching a lot just because it starts plugging up a little bit. So this makes quite a bit for 1 batch.
Yeah, we almost came up with 6 quarts, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that
if
is
you bought
pretty good.
quality beef stock, you'd be, I mean, I think that's probably $4 or $5 a quart. So
Hey,
save a little money, get a little higher quality stuff.
and you're getting the most out of your meat that you can.
Yep, absolutely. When you can, you always want to wipe the top rim of your jars to make sure that that's perfectly clean. Because if this seal doesn't get sealed up right, then you've botched the whole thing. And then these were sitting in hot water to soften up this gum ring to help them seal better. Okay, and then the next thing to know about canning, when you put the lids on, you don't screw them down hard. Just kind of finger tight, just like that. No pressure, because this is acting as a valve. As this cooks, this air is gonna expand, and you want that air to come out, and then when it cools off, it'll seal. And that's what gives it the longevity, the shelf life. You don't want your jars to touch, if you can help that. It's not life or death, but it's ideal that they don't. This is kind of an old school canner. So you use a little weight like this. This is how you adjust your pounds of pressure. So this is my 10-pound weight. So we're gonna do 10 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes. So we put the weight top of here. Now that does not mean the 25 minutes start now. As pressure builds, this will start rocking back and forth and letting off steam. When it gets to a certain point, this little red deal will pop out, and that's when we know it's built pressure. That's when the 25 minutes starts. Canners now are much more sophisticated. You can electronically set them. You know, everyone has an Instapot, which is essentially a pressure cooker. And I keep using the word canner and cooker interchangeably. This is a pressure cooker. I'm using it as a canner, but you could cook in this too if you wanted. I only use it for canning. At this point, it's just a waiting game. Canner has now cooled, so it's time to take them out and let the jars cool. Just look at this one, you can see it's still boiling a little.
Oh yeah.
They all are, really. And that's what creates the sterile environment. The stock essentially boiled in the jars, killing all the bacteria, and then it will suction that lid down as it cools, and then that's what gives it its long shelf life.
How long would you say someone keep these before throwing them out?
I mean, I think like the USDA would say like a year, maybe less, and you'll know.
Yeah.
If you open it and it smells rotten, it's rotten. If it smells good, it's edible, in my experience.
But anyways, I hope you like this. Check our link down below. We got a bunch of merch. We got hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, so go check that out. The link will be in the description below.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got something out of this. I hope it inspires you to do a little bit more with your kill and make some broth or whatever. If you found it helpful, please do like and subscribe. It helps us more than you know. I know everyone says that at the end of the videos, but all it takes is just a quick click to like and subscribe, and it means a lot to us. So thanks again.